order. You wouldn't hear any numbers, figures from me, but I would like to share with you some ideas how I see the world around us, what are the major problems, challenges in the world in which we are living, and then I would draft some possible answers from our behalf as fellow Franciscans. And as a third part, I would like to introduce to you some situations, how the fellow Franciscan order looks like all over the world, in the different parts of the world. What are the challenges and how would we face these challenges? So basically these three parts will be of my presentation. But before just answering this, first of all, a bit like between brackets, I would like to say thanks for the invitation for this quinquennial, which is a Jubilee quinquennial. The original Jubilee was a Jubilee of 50 years in the Jewish tradition. After 7 times 7 years, the Jews had a Jubilee year. And one thing I would like to remind you is that without the 49 years, we cannot have a 50th year. Because we have to have 49 years full of toil, full of challenges. And now we have to remember those 99 years. And we have to remember all those who worked so hard and served the OFS during these 99 years. So that now we can celebrate this Jubilee Q. So from this place, I would like to say many, many thanks to those who are here, from the previous organizers of the Quinquennial Congresses, and to all those whom we only can remember. So thank you all. The Jubilee year is also a year of reconciliation. To forgive, to let go free. The slaves were led away. And in this time of Jubilee, let us reconcile. Reconcile with God, reconcile with ourselves, and reconcile with the neighbor. First of all, reconcile with God, who did not always do or give everything that we wanted to have or receive. Even though God should not be forgiven, because He's always doing good, but we have to reconcile with God and beg His pardon for everything what we supposed to receive from Him, and He didn't give us. I have to reconcile with myself, because I have to accept that I'm not the same anymore. I cannot do everything in a way I like, and I'm not that capable as I would like to be. And for all the things I have committed against myself, impatience, anger, faithlessness, and so on. And if we can do this too, we should have reconciliation with the neighbor, forgiving everything that I have to forgive to God and for myself, because what disturbs me in others are the same things that disturb me in myself and in God. So, let us celebrate. We have a great year of Jubilee. And let us see, where is the world going? What are the tendencies? What are the challenges? What can be the response of the OFS? It was in 1970, more than 50 years ago, when Thomas Merton said that we are in a world and part of it, and we are destroying everything, because we are destroying ourselves spiritually, morally, and in every way. It is all part of the same sickness. It all hangs together. Yesterday we have heard a good analysis of the situation in the United States, and this morning we could hear about the Fratelli Tutti, in which Pope Francis also drafted a rather cloudy horizon. And this is not because we wouldn't like to rejoice, but because this is the reality. We are living historic times. Like St. Francis lived historic times. So it is very similar to those times. There are fundamental changes. Social classes are changing in our times. Various groups of people are raising, others are sinking. And after 30 years of time of mercy, wars are present again in Europe. Wars are being fought in different ways, not only with the arms, with artillery or tanks, but in the cyber technology, in psychology, and other ways. So war is present in our time. And the goal is the same. They want to rule over you. And we have to see that a demand for a new order of the world has been announced. We have the new colonization. Just have a look at this group of BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, who have announced the demand for economic power, and none of them are traditional good democracies. And new countries have, or are going to have, nuclear weapons. These are rather dark clouds on the sky. We are living in a globalized world. And it's said that globalization unites everything into one global world, but it really creates division and individualism. It is said that the globalized world gives freedom, offers free access to almost everything, but freedom is articulated as independence. And in the sense, independence is not autonomy but separation, the loss of personal contacts. The human communities are targeted to be dissolved, any kind of human communities. And all the values are respected, therefore no values are respected. No more absolute values, absolute morality, everything is relative. The focuses have moved. There's an absolutely unjust division of the economic resources. They are on the north, on the west. While the human resources of mankind are growing on the east and on the south. No connection between the two. And this makes a new situation in the world, which so often brings tension. It induces great movements of people, and the focus of Christianity has moved from Europe to Africa to Asia. And intentionally I don't mention Latin America. And there is a great difference in terms of vocations between the different parts of the world. We have to face and answer new questions. Some questions that never have been said before. And some times ago, these questions would have sounded very strange. Today, these are quite common questions. Is there God? Who is the man? How can we define who is the man? And who is God? What is life? When does life begin? What is the family? Whom does a family consist of? So values became relative, truths became relative. And we are living in a world where there is less divinity, there is less humanity, and there is much more inhumanity. We are living a life which is divided into sections. And we have to set the question, do we really live the unity of life? Because as we experience life divided in terms of time, in terms of thinking, in terms of places. Modern times have separated the place of work from the place of family life. In early times, the work took place in the family, where the family lived its own life. Today, some people have to travel hours or days to find work. And this results in the family is excluded from the work. Also in time, we are working during the day, but often working during the day only waiting for the evening, when finally we can have a glass of beer and watch the next soap opera. You know this, thanks God it's Friday, but why? Why don't we say that thanks God it's Monday? We are waiting for Sunday, when finally I will be a Christian, a Franciscan. And we are working the whole life, waiting for the retirement. And when we retire, finally, we discover that, yeah, but the completeness of life is hurt. Can a retirement really be enjoyed? Was it a full life? Was it first to wait years, decades for this? But we can experience this division in many terms. Waiting every 4 years, red or blue. The next will be better, but will it really be better? Who can tell us which is better? So why to divide our life into parts? We are living one full life. And we have to live it in its completeness. Because this is our Christianity. This is our Franciscan spirit. Live the good times and live the bad times together. Because they are together. It is useless to wait the other part of the time when it will be better. We should not be Sunday Christians. We should not be Sunday Franciscans. We are Christians, Franciscans from Monday morning until Sunday night. Even though we have these dark clouds on the horizon, we have high hopes. Because this is also the time of high hopes. Crisis always forces mankind to stop and to redesign. Also in the time of St. Francis, it was the time of great changes. But what did St. Francis do? He didn't surrender. He didn't raise his hands saying that, okay, that's not my job. He started to rebuild the church, stone by stone. And now we have to redesign to rebuild. So how should we redesign? How should we rebuild? And what should we rebuild? We have heard this word conversion already a couple of times during this conference. The redesign is the conversion. To change the mind to find the proper way. The conversion metanoia in Greek, literally means to turn around 180 degrees, to be able to change the mind in its totality. Conversion needs an openness to change the decisions, the ideas. So let's rebuild ourselves first. And maybe theologically it's not absolutely correct. I beg the pardon of all the priests. But I would like to call the attention to three aspects of conversion. One is the spiritual conversion, what I call spiritual conversion. This is the penitential way of life, the reconciliation with God, with myself, with the neighbor. But we should not stop it. The second is the mental conversion, a more thoughtful way of life, the better use of our time, to reorganize our life in its many aspects. Each one of us knows what should be reorganized. Everyone in a different way. We have to rethink our plans and we have to rethink our desires. We also have to reconsider our needs. Do we really need everything what we think? And the third aspect is a material conversion, a more prudent way of life, a more social way of life. We have to reduce the needs. We have to reduce the use of resources, materials. And believe me, we will be rich. Because there are two ways to become rich. To gain more or to reduce the needs.
Very good point.
Conversion is not something that happens with us. Conversion is an act. We have to do it. First of all, we have to learn. We have to learn about God, about His intentions, His projects. We have to learn about ourselves. And we have to learn about the world, about our neighbors. We have to see clearly what is around us and what is God's plan with us. And the conversion is a kind of encounter to be in a good relationship. It's not that easy. To be in a good relationship with God. We think we are in a good relationship with God, but would God say the same?
Huh.
And we have to be in a good relationship with ourselves. And I'm not thinking about those times when after 3 glasses of wine you say that, okay, I feel good. No, we have to accept ourselves, our limits, our capacities, and to say that, okay, I'm in my place, I'm in the place where God wanted to put me to. And we have to be in a good relationship with the world, the neighbors. But if we don't do verse 2, this will not happen. Because it's like a tripod. God, myself, and the neighbor. If one is missing, the tripod just falls over. So we have to move ahead. Last year, at the general chapter, the presidency of the CIOFS reported its activities to the general chapter. And in this we said that we have to live our Franciscan identity by living the fraternity on the various levels, by deepening our knowledge in the Franciscan spirituality through a proper formation, and to strive to pursue a Franciscan way of life that leads us to holiness. Leads us, not the neighbor, leads us to holiness.
Good.
As a second point, we have to live our secularity both individually and in the fraternities. By being always more open to the challenges of the world, by being open to the questions that we are facing in the society, and by striving to build a more fraternal and evangelical world. And as a third point, we have to live our belonging to an order, which is an integral part of the Catholic Church, has its own structure, like it or not. Is an international fraternity with all the graces and challenges of being that, and which needs good servant leaders to manage, as we began to study during the previous general chapters. So we have to move ahead, and we can offer two things at least to the world. One thing we can offer to the world is the Christian values, and the other thing we can offer is the fraternity. I'm sure that we can offer much, much more, but basically these two things are very important. Because we can offer Christian values, absolute values in a world where all the values are relative. And if someone is being lost on the ocean of relative things, we can just put a fixed thing, a lighthouse somewhere, that, okay, these are the values. You can direct here. And in a world which is so individual, if the most important thing would be the individual person, and the society needs the individuals but not the communities, we can offer the fraternities where people can feel at home. What could be concrete answers to these questions, to these challenges? And I took a part from our general constitutions, Article 12.1. Gaining inspiration from the example and the writings of Francis, and above all, filled with the grace of the Holy Spirit, each day the brothers and sisters faithfully live the great gift which Christ has given, the revelation of the Father. They should bear witness to this faith before all, in their family life, in their work, in their joys and suffering, in their associations with all men and women, brothers and sisters of the same Father, in their presence and participation in the life of the society, and in their fraternal relationships with all creatures. Let's have a look at these one by one. In their family life. This is a privilege in the Catholic Church. We seculars may have spouses, husbands, wives, and we may have children. Please look at this as a privilege. We have the opportunity to make the love of God visible through the human relationships. And we can be partners of God in the creation. Partners of God. It not often happens that God creates a human being without our contributions. This is the normal way that we are partners of God in the creation. And when we turn to St. Francis, what can we hear from him in this regard? We would see that St. Francis how much respected the family life, and rejoiced that God gave a vocation not only to certain religious people, but to seculars too. It was him who established the third order, which is now the secular Franciscan order. So he recognized that God is giving vocation not only to religious brothers and sisters, but seculars as well. In the work, working is a grace, and in work we are partners of God. And in good cases, work strengthens human relationships and strengthens the sense of collaboration. But it's interesting to consider, and I invite each one of you to think about it, not now, after this. What makes me a secular Franciscan teacher? Not simply a teacher, a secular Franciscan teacher. What makes me a secular Franciscan architect, a secular Franciscan officer, a secular Franciscan car mechanic? What does it mean to be secular Franciscans at the work? Be grateful because work is a gift, and being able to work is a grace. Those who are not able know it very well, what a great gift it is to work. And we have to do our best at high quality with a good skill. It is our duty not simply to wait for Friday, but to work at doing our best. St. Francis said, "Let those friars to whom the Lord has given the grace to work faithfully and devoutly, in such a way that having excluded idleness, the enemy of the soul, they do not extinguish the spirit of holy prayer and devotion, which all other temporal things must serve zealously." This is from the approved book. In the joys and sufferings, we have to bear witness of our joys and sufferings. This means we have to be open. We have to be transparent. We have to share all we have, our life, our joy, suffering, because the joy and suffering are connected, all as a kind of the love of God. And sharing a life means living a true fraternal life with solidarity. Bearing witness has to be active in solidarity with those who suffer from war, from poverty, from unjust social systems, from lack of health care, or from lack of human dignity for elderhood. Everyone can find his proper place and proper ways how to bear witness of these joys and sufferings during the life. St. Francis said that I say to you that if I will have had patience and will not have been disturbed, that in this is true gladness and true virtue and soul. This is of the perfect gladness. You know the story. The next one is in their associations with all men and women, brothers and sisters of the same Father. And I put here in bold letters all men and women. With all of them, it means dialogue, solidarity, and again all. We can choose our friends, but being secular Franciscans is not about friendship. Being secular Franciscans is about being brothers and sisters of all. It's not us who choose them, it is God who chooses them. And believe me, it's better that He chose them. All means all and not some of them. We like to select and to have good associations with some of men and women. But God is asking us to be in good association with all of them. Regardless of the circumstances, characteristic, qualification, condition, or others. So, this short world St. Francis said, we ought to never desire to be above others. Slaves and subjects to every human creature for God's sake. For we are brothers when we do the will of his Father who is in heaven. Society. How we are invisible. So many times we don't show up in the society. Let's go out and we have to participate, not only be present. Let us be present in the real world, not only in the virtual reality. We secular Franciscans have to be present in person, not only by the media. Websites, publications, and so on, these are beautiful things, nice of their kind. But we need a stronger personal presence in the society. We are often afraid of being active members of the society. Why do we have so few secular Franciscan mayors, politicians, or council members? Priests should not be mayors. Franciscan brothers should not be governors. We seculars should be. Also, St. Francis was courageous enough to be present in the society and in the public life. He wrote a letter to the rulers of the nations. It's quite a courageous letter. And he also went to meet Malik al-Kamal, the Sultan. So, take this responsibility, please. And the sixth point, final point in this, in the fraternal relationships with all creatures. We often forget about the command, be fertile and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have domination over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and all the living things that move on the earth. It's from the book of Genesis. It belongs to our human being that we like to select. And it pleases us to subdue the world, but it is not so. But God has asked us, first of all, to fill the earth and then to subdue it. We have to respect all kinds of life, the born and not born yet. Because each and every life is of a great value. And we have to respect all the creatures, because they bear the imprint of the Most High, as St. Francis said in the first biography of Celano. And we can see all along the life of St. Francis how much he respected the creatures. We have to respect all the creatures because we have to respect the Creator. If we don't respect the Creator, we cannot respect the creatures. And on the contrary, vice versa. And as we can read in the Celano, so this man also, full of the Spirit of God, ceased not to glorify, praise, and bless in all the elements and creatures the Creator and Governor of them all. We all know and like the canticle Laudato Si. But we do that St. Francis wrote a song in the last life He was neither strong nor healthy. He was almost 100% blind. He almost could not sit up. He would have had every reason to be unhappy. And in this situation, he wrote this beautiful song praising the Creator and by the Creator, his creatures. So I invite you all to read our general constitution. And find this article, I tell you, 12.1. Okay. And I would like to share with you some experiences from different parts of the world regarding the secular Franciscan order. The challenges are different, as the situation is different in many parts of the world. Answers should be different too, sometimes almost personalized. We not always can give general answers. According to the canon law, I beg your pardon, I call it canon law, but according to the canon law, only the local fraternities in the OFS and the international fraternity are canonically established. Regional and national, no. And it is not by accident. Absolutely not by accident. Because these are the two most important levels of the order. The local fraternity is the place, is our home, where we have our personal contacts, where we have our Franciscan family encounters, where we live our vocation, in fact. And we live our universal fraternity in the international fraternity, which lets us discover the universal brotherhood. It is the global home where we live the universal love of God and can fulfill our mission to go to every corner of the world and proclaim the gospel. So, just to let you see what is the OFS like in different parts of the world. Some experiences, Europe and perhaps North America. I put it in brackets because you know it much better than me. There's a crisis of spirituality, moral and religious relativism, and societies are divided, very much divided. We are facing an economic or energy crisis, and there's a panic because of the war. And there's a demographic crisis combined with the questions of the migration. And there are great questions of human dignity, racial, sexual, social questions, different kinds, all relative to the human dignity. So what can be the answers for us secular Franciscans in this situation? First of all, the personal witness. And we have to strengthen the importance of the family. We have to strengthen the communities. First of all, the fraternities, but also civil communities in various forms. Any gathering of human beings is good, which is sincere, honest, open, and is ready to share. And we have to give witness of our spirituality in a more and more visible, concrete manner. We have to be present in the world, in the media, and we have to be present and visible in the world of work and economy. The next is very, very much different, is Africa. In Africa, we see a food and water crisis. In Africa, we have to face the problem of exploitation. individually and in general, exploitation of human beings, but exploitation of the nature. The lack of formation and incredible ignorance, and the lack of infrastructure. There are no roads, there's no transportation, there is no piping, no electricity. The answers which we could give or we could help to give are, first of all, the formation, the education. Also, we have to strengthen the communities and we have to strengthen the consciousness that they are precious, valuable persons. We have to help in a very concrete way. We have to give fish and net, both. We have to help them how to request help. Many times we meet the problem that charity organizations would give a lot of money and help in many, many ways, but they do not know how to fill a form. We have to help them develop the agriculture. And we have to continue to give water infrastructure. And I'm quite proud to say that we secular Franciscans are quite good in this. You know the Welfare Africa project, in which we have already helped reinforce a good number of wells. And we can join the healthcare initiatives or missions. The next is Asia. One characteristic of Asia is the diversity. There is a big difference between the countries, also in terms of economy, of demography, of religion. In Asia we can see Christian countries, basically Islamic countries, basically Buddhist countries, any kind of religion. In Asia there are very rich countries and there are very poor countries. And oftentimes, when we have a look at Asia from a good distance, we see that, yeah, there is Asia and there's one block. But it's way too far not to choose. Asia is very different in its countries. Moreover, there is a diversity inside the countries. We say that India is one country. But in India, there are many, many languages, many nationalities, many, many religions. And in Asia, there are grave political and human rights problems in many countries. What can be the answers? We can try to bring the various nations or cultures together as much as it concerns us. We always organize Asia-Oceania Congress, OFS-USA Congress, and it's always been a great experience to see how rejoicing these people, brothers and sisters from different countries from Asia, can be meeting each other. To help them learn about one another, to facilitate encounters. Help to strengthen the already existing being Asian identity. To mediate and interfere in eventual conflicts. I'm not thinking today about the conflict between mainland China and Taiwan. That's not our job. But I'm thinking about conflicts, for instance, inside India, between some Christian groups. And we have to stand for the human rights. We have to perform actions of solidarity. The next one is Latin America. Latin America is following Europe and North America at a distance. There are warning signs that the tendencies are going to be very similar in terms of demography, in terms of spirituality. So what we see now, in 10 years we will see in Latin America. There are political, human rights problems, and there are external influences in Latin America, both economic influences and spiritual influences. It was not accidental that Pope Francis convoked the Amazonia Synod. We have to protect the Catholic Church in Latin America. So our answers could be that to share the experiences to avoid wrong tendencies, because who are living there in Latin America not obviously see what they are living in. We have to strengthen the unity based upon the one or two common languages. It's an incredible advantage for Latin America that they are speaking Spanish, plus Portuguese, yeah, but basically Spanish. We have to improve the formation to improve spiritual consciousness. And we have to perform actions of solidarity. I'm thinking here about Venezuela, for instance. Mm-hmm. So, these are the situations in the various parts of the world. And I would like to share some concluding thoughts with you. So we are living in a time of great changes. A new attitude and new actions are needed. We have to be much more aware of what is happening around us. Everything speeded up, and oftentimes we feel to lose control. And I would like to quote Thomas Merton again. Thomas Merton said in 1956, almost 70 years ago, that the world has speeded up so much that the human being is unable to stop and evaluate those things that are coming against. Almost 70 years ago. What would he say today? The world cannot be changed at once, but we have to be steady and we have to start. We shall change ourselves first, and thus we will change the world. So, this is our conversion. If we are ready for our own conversion, the world will be changed. We have to stick to the absolute values, and we have to be sure that God is in control. We have to follow persons and not ideas. And this is why it is so good to be secular Franciscan. Because we are following Christ through St. Francis, and we are not seeking ideologies or teachings. And we have to strengthen the human communities, families, fraternities, because these are the basic cells of life. So believe me, God has created a beautiful world and keeps on making it more and more beautiful, day by day. Let us go and do our part. God doesn't leave anyone without a vocation. We have ours, so let's stand up and do accordingly. Let us begin, brethren, to serve the Lord God, for hitherto we have profited little or nothing. And may whoever of you all observe all this be filled in heaven with the blessing of the Most High Father, and on earth with that of his beloved Son, together with the Holy Spirit, be comfort. Thank you very much.
beautifully done.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's your turn.
Okay. Oh. Can I close the computer here? Yeah, no, I'm not going to project. I'm going to attempt to project my voice. Okay. Is this yours, Tibor? Were you doing your... Wonderful expression of where we stand in the world today. I thank you so much, Tibor. We needed that full perspective. What I'd like to do is, in a way, support Tibor's message through actually reflections on the Q. Peace and all good, my brothers and sisters. Paz y bien, hermanos y hermanas. Or, as my husband likes to remind me, live long and prosper. That's for those Star Trek fans in the audience. And remember, Star Trek was truly visionary and, I think, very Franciscan. I will periodically transition to Spanish to summarize for our hispanohablantes during this program. Periódicamente trataré de darles un síntesis en español a mis hermanos y hermanas hispanohablantes. It is so exciting to visit and share with my most totally awesome Franciscan family here at the 100th anniversary of the Quinquennial. Estoy tan alegre de estar aquí con mi familia franciscana. I'm humbled and moved by your welcome, and as humbled to be standing here next to my dear brother and Minister General, Tibor Kauser. Me presento aquí al lado de nuestro hermano y el Ministro General, Tibor Kauser, con humildad. So, why did so many of us, more than 600, come to the Q? Why did we leave work, family, responsibilities to come to what seems to be the hottest place on earth? Phoenix, Arizona? You think that the name alone, Arizona, kept us away. But no, we came. Me pregunto por qué salieron de sus casas y dejaron el trabajo y familias, más de 600 personas, para venir aquí a un lugar que se llama Arizona, la zona árida. So what? I think you'll agree with me. It has been a great, big family reunion, right?
Yeah.
It's a time for memories, a time for laughter, a time to talk about our newly developed aches and pains with the people who can truly commiserate. It's a time to hug and be hugged. A time to meet and get to know our younger generation of Franciscans. Creo que estarán de acuerdo conmigo. Ha sido una gran reunión familiar para reír, abrazar y ser abrazados, para encontrar a la nueva generación de franciscanos. So why do we come? What a silly question. Where else would we want to be but surrounded by brothers and sisters from all over who have the same center, the same focus, the same Father? ¿Por qué hemos venido? Qué pregunta más tonta. ¿En qué otro lugar podríamos estar rodeados de hermanos y hermanas de todas partes que tienen el mismo centro, el mismo enfoque, el mismo Padre? We came because we are Franciscans and we hunger for time together. Somos franciscanos y tenemos un hambre espiritual. We yearn to learn more about our charism, our history, our family, how to live our Franciscan lives, how to move forward in a world of challenges which takes us away from our center. We came because we need to be re-energized to help rekindle the flame and rediscover that great treasure that is ours, our Franciscan vocation. Hemos venido para descubrir de nuevo ese gran tesoro que es nuestra vocación franciscana. From where I stand, our quinquennial celebration is already a smashing success. Thanks to the vision and hard work of our quinquennial committee. Como lo veo yo, esta celebración quinquenal ya tiene éxito enorme, gracias a la visión y el trabajo de la Comisión Quinquenal. With Susan and Kathy as co-chairs and their loyal band of planners, Jan, Brother Bob, Mary, Donna, Claudia, Steve, Kathy, Tim, and Sharon, please give them a big Franciscan hug. During these past few days thus far, we have begun that process of bringing our Franciscan spirit to life. Aquí hemos empezado el proceso de hacer renacer nuestro espíritu franciscano. Perhaps some of us, especially because of COVID, felt like we were dragging. We lost that Franciscan sparkle. We were lonely for that human touch, that Franciscan connection. We've been living behind our masks, and some of us behind closed doors for far too long. Tal vez durante esta pandemia, algunos de nosotros perdimos un poco de nuestra chispa franciscana. El quinquenal llegó a tiempo. We were ready for the cue, ready to step out and test the waters of an almost new, almost post-COVID pandemic world. To my joy and amazement, I encountered an incredible sea of 600 towels. I lost my place. Asombrada, encontré un enorme número de más de 600 towels. Los towels a mi derecha, los towels a mi izquierda. Y empezamos a cantar y bailar con una alegría verdaderamente franciscana. Towels greeting me with awesome smiles and wide searching eyes. Towels eager to embrace and to be embraced. Towels to the left of me, towels to the right of me. We began in joyful song, waving colorful streamers and dancing around the massive dining room. We were energized and felt a truly Franciscan joy. And then there was the opening Mass, which gave us that spiritual boost of the gospel message and the celebration of the Eucharist. We became one with Christ at that moment. No longer individuals from Guam or Florida, Washington State, or Maine, or Hungary. Y después fuimos a la mesa, donde recibimos un impulso espiritual con el mensaje evangélico y al momento mismo de la Eucaristía los convertimos todos, uno con Cristo. Our first keynote speaker, Father David Couturier, was clever. Because of his understanding of the Franciscan charism, as peacemaker, as visionary of the Franciscan dream, he knew how to nudge us from our ideological corners and masterfully, carefully moved us and reminded us of who we are supposed to be as Franciscans. He centered us. He gave us focus on how we can walk out of this auditorium reconverted to that vision. And this morning, Bishop Stowe gave us a mini course on everything that our Franciscan formation is and should be. Con la plática del Fray David, quien nos trajo gentilmente fuera de nuestros rincones ideológicos, nos recordó de quiénes debemos ser como franciscanos. Y esta mañana, el obispo Stowe nos dio un mini curso de todo lo que es y todo lo que debe ser nuestra formación franciscana. Father David challenged us, nos desafió. ¿Cómo podemos empezar un movimiento americano en América poniendo el cuidado primero? How can secular Franciscans become a movement in America that puts caring first? I then had the privilege of spending time with my little fraternity of St. Colette to discuss Father David's challenge. And you know what? After hearing my brothers and sisters, Margie, Linda, Tom, Yvonne, Rita, Sheila, and Kathy, and Brother Benedict today, I am convinced that we, secular Franciscans, are already a movement in America that puts caring first. It began 800 years ago, and there's no intention of slowing down. También tuve la oportunidad de pasar tiempo en la pequeña fraternidad de la Santa Colette. Y al terminar estaba completamente convencida que el movimiento ya había empezado hasta hace más de 800 años y no tiene ninguna intención de detenerse. Now, we may not be loud enough yet or visible enough yet, but we are a movement. The stories from the little fraternity of St. Colette represent our Franciscan voices, our Franciscan outreach, our Franciscan encounters of caring, of building a more fraternal world. My brothers in the fraternity spoke of ministries to the elderly, caring for the sick, mentoring youth, working with special needs children and their parents. All these ministries require relationship, encounters with caring, evangelizing in a gentle way. They express that this revolution of tenderness, as Bishop Stowe described this morning, brings us great, indescribable joy. It's amazing, isn't it? That when we reach out to others, we are the ones who reach the benefits, who reap the benefits. These encounters need to be more intentional, they said. And when they are, they lead to conversion for both parties. They lead to friendships, trust, and strong relationships that evangelize and promote conversion. We need to feel the heart of the other person, to walk in their footsteps, they said. It becomes a team effort, the you and the I. This relationship is based more on how you listen than what you say. People come first, people matter. They concluded that, as Franciscans, we all care. But ultimately, it's about caring for people. And here's the punchline, helping them build their relationship with God. Los cuentos eran de sus apostolados, de todas las oportunidades que ya habían tomado para poner la otra persona en primer lugar. In building relationships, we reach out to our fellow human beings, touch them, we embrace them, as Francis embraced the lover, as the Good Samaritan stopped his life agenda for a brief time and attended to the need of the other. The result of these encounters, as one of my sisters in the little fraternity said, give me control to help make the world a better place. Yvonne summarizes for the group, I can't do everything, but I can do this. A dear Franciscan friar and fellow interpreter once told me, I cannot change the world, but I can change the world for one person. when we feel powerless, unable to tackle those big existential problems that consume the airways, let's keep reminding ourselves, I cannot change the world, but I can change the world for one person. This will empower us. This will help us focus on our goal and our rule. Iván explicó, no puedo hacerlo todo, pero puedo hacer esto. Un querido fraile franciscano me dijo, no puedo cambiar el mundo, pero puedo cambiar el mundo por una persona. Cuando nos damos débiles, incapaces de abordar esos problemas existenciales que consumen las ondas, sigamos recordándonos, no puedo cambiar el mundo, pero puedo cambiar el mundo por una persona. Esto nos dará poder. Esto nos ayudará a centrarnos en nuestro objetivo y nuestra regla. One sister added that our movement, our revolution, builds with the little portions. Because as Bishop Kauser said, living the gospel is more important than talking about it. Esta revolución de ternura empieza una cosita a la vez. No es tan difícil. One little thing at a time. It's not really so hard. One smile, and you can feel the warmth. So let's crunch the numbers. Let's imagine a perfect world of Franciscans. Now, I don't know, there may be about 647 secular Franciscans and Franciscan-minded people in this room ready to create a movement. If each one of us does one act of caring each day for a year, that's 365 days. That's the number I use. I'm good at math. That's 236,155 acts of caring just from the people in this room. Now, let's think bigger. If we go back home, energized, and reach our 10,000 of our brothers and sisters at our local fraternity level, and ask them to do likewise, our encounters in 1 year would be exponentially higher. Listen to this number. 2,361,550,000 acts of kindness in 1 year. Now, this is a beautiful dream where everyone would be performing, all right? But let's be realistic and practical. And let's cut it down to just 10%, okay? That would be 236,155,000. And we are not even considering the additional impact of carrying forward effects. Or as the old movie said, pay it forward. I don't know about you, but this is beginning to sound like a movement, a revolution. Imaginemos un mundo perfecto de franciscanos. Los números no mienten. Hay 647 franciscanos seglares y de mentalidad franciscana en esta sala. Si cada persona aquí hiciera un acto de cuidado o ternura cada día por un año, resultaría a 236,155 actos. Si lo multiplicamos por 10,000, considerando el número de franciscanos seglares en los Estados Unidos, este número crecería exponencialmente en Spanish. 2,000 millones. 365,550,000. Those numbers are amazing, right? We are so far from being the world. It's not a daily business. And building a more fraternal world as our rule requires us. And it's not going to be easy. Yes. In Europe and North America, our numbers are dwindling, sometimes dramatically so. Flowing. our memories that are tricking us into remembering that date with Elvis or Julie Andrews that never happened. And oh my, our ever-increasing waistlines. And I'll speak for myself here, all right? It seems that whatever pounds Tibor loses, I gain. I don't think that that's what they meant when they said that the Vice Minister General should help to balance and support the work of the General Minister. Pero verdaderamente el mundo que nuestro fray David imagina y que nuestra regla requiere necesita más trabajo intencional. Y nosotros franciscanos seglares estamos disminuyendo dramáticamente el número en Europa y en Norteamérica. Debemos continuar a ayudar un poco más a la nueva generación franciscana para construir un mundo más fraterno. Y podemos empezar hoy con 3 palabras esenciales. Familia, familia y finalmente familia. Debemos infiltrar a nuestros círculos de familia, de trabajo, de escuela, de amistades. Démosles un sentido familiar franciscano, un sentido del auténtico cuidado por los demás y de nuestra hermana tierra. The reality is, our younger members have a tremendous responsibility trying to carry our order forward so that the movement can build and grow. Don't you worry, my brothers and sisters. Those of us who are older still have a lot to offer. We're not down yet. I prefer to provide the perspective that our dear brother Patrick Monday, our beloved national minister from years ago, once said, "I've just been younger, longer." Think about it. I've just been younger, longer. And that's good, because being younger, longer, we can build that attitude and we can engage and support our younger brothers and sisters. And we may even be able to keep up with them. With the attitude of being younger, longer, we feel, we feel rejuvenated and energized so that we can take that movement of an encounter of the caring to the next level, one which will provide an incredible boost in our order. And we can start today. I recommend a simple but effective strategy consisting of 3 words. Family, family, and finally, family. Our own families, our Franciscan family, our church family. Let's enhance that culture. Let's get that encounter of caring into our homes with our children and grandchildren, friends, in our communities, in our churches, in one encounter at a time. Let's focus on building one special relationship of caring and bringing our family units back to an encounter with God. Let's infiltrate our homes, our workplaces, our schools, our senior citizen centers, our government offices, and yes, even in our hospital beds when preparing to meet Sister Death. Let's infiltrate with the joy, love, and compassion that Franciscans are known for. Let's infiltrate every segment of society where we find ourselves. Let's give them all a sense of family, Franciscan style, a sense of authentic caring for each other in our sister earth. Someone once told me that Jesuits plan, but Franciscans do. Let's do it.
Tibor and Mary, please a couple moments. everybody stand up and stretch a little bit. I have just a couple of